All right, welcome everybody to the very first meeting ever of the new 100 TV channel, the 100 TV network. I'm Ross Brand. My show on the network is going to be called 100 Predictions. Why don't we just go around, everybody who's here so far, just introduce yourself and tell us what your show is going to be.
Who's going to go next?
Daniel, do you want to go?
Yeah,
Go
I'll go ahead and
clockwise.
go. Yeah, so I'm Daniel Witzel. I am the Rad Travel Dad, and my show on the 100 Network here is going to be Where in the World. So I'm going to be taking you around the world, checking out all kinds of amazing places, cuisines, countries, cultures, and just it'll be a great travel show. So check it out.
Very cool. Sue Ann?
Sounds fun. I'm Sue Ann, and I'm with Right Mix for Business. My show for this 100 TV only channel will be called The Marketing Mirror, because everything you do in business reflects your company and brand. And I think it'll be an easy extenuation of what I've been doing in digital marketing and on my podcast and writing and other projects, where I talk about everything business and content. And so, of course, marketing is often a key topic and, covers a lot of things, gives me some space to cover some things in digital.
All right, very cool. Kevin?
So before I wow everybody with my show, Ross, yours is 100 predictions. So when we get to 101, is that the end of the network? Are we done?
Oh, no. There's 100 predictions in every show. No.
You have the longest show.
Yeah. So that's two every minute, I guess, or two every second. I don't know.
There you go. So my name's Kevin Colby, and the show I'm going to be doing is called This Week Was the Best Day Ever, which I actually borrowed that title from my daughter when we went as our family on one of the worst vacations ever. Everybody got sick, and as she was going home, she goes, "This week was the best day ever." And I'm like, "No, it wasn't." But mine is an interview show. I am fascinated with just amazing people all over the world. A lot of them may be people that aren't mainstream. I love YouTube, but I don't have a desire just to interview YouTubers. So it's going to be different people, different walks of life, for them sharing their stories to hopefully inspire you, if you're watching, to like, man, maybe I ought to do something like that with my life or that career or something like that. So I'm looking forward to it.
All right, sounds good. So
Very
before
cool.
I turn it over to Sue Ann, who's going to run this meeting, and we're a collaborative partnership, a creative partnership. So everybody will take a different turn as we do meetings and we do these different things that involved in operating 100 TV, so that the burden doesn't fall on any single person. Everybody's putting their talents to use to help this network grow and succeed. So why are we doing this? Well, you have to look at the reality of the situation for independent creators. The system was not set up for us. The system was set up to use us. Each of us in our own silo, creating content independently, which can only be at such a volume, given that we're mostly solo or small teams. And so it's hard to get the volume of content needed to grow fast, grow a big enough audience to monetize at the level that our content deserves. And then particularly we're in a time where the algorithms aren't favorable, where the economy's certainly going through a tough time. And so each one of us are creating content that's worth a lot more to YouTube than or any other social platform than it is to us. So the idea is, how can we better serve our audiences, our sponsors, and each other as independent creators? Let's come together, and instead of being siloed, let's pool our talent together and pool our combined reach and combined ability to create content. So instead of somebody going, okay, the best I can do is one video and 2 shorts a week on my channel, what we can do is hopefully have 100 or more creators who are putting shows on every week and the volume and of shows and the combined reach and the diversity of shows all add up to a growing number of subscribers, audiences, watch time, and put it all together, the potential for monetization is much greater, not only in total, but per creator than it is if we were simply selling a half an hour of content or an hour of content a week on our own channels. And from that, I think it's great for sponsors because they can reach a much larger audience at one time, and they can have availabilities throughout the day. And it's great for viewers because instead of 4 of our favorite hosts going live at the same time, each to a smaller audience, we can work together to come up with a schedule where there's one destination. If you want to go see your favorite independent creators, there's one destination where there's content both live continuously, not necessarily live as in it's created live. It may be live to tape and uploaded, but it will be like a linear TV channel where somebody's on at 3 and the next one's on at 3:30, and audiences can gather at those times. The creator can be there or not be there, depending on the situation. And then we also have a on-demand section where if you're enjoying Kevin's show, for example, you can go to a playlist of all his shows and you can binge that, or you can continue watching the next sort of streaming show that comes in. So a lot of options for content, and that just scratches the surface of what we're going to be doing. But that's the idea. We're all here to pour our time and effort that we're giving to our show and to what we've committed to do for the network, some promotion and lending our skills when needed. Overall, it isn't a huge commitment of time. It's a commitment of sort of spirit and energy and hopefully kind of the rising tide lifts all boats. And, so somebody is really great at graphics, and so they may volunteer to do the graphics for all the shows. And 100 TV has the best graphics look because we've got that one person instead of everybody struggling to do their own. Somebody else is great at web design. When we have a website, that will be maybe their sphere of influence where they lend their expertise on that. But overall, the creators are all going to be creating either a half an hour or 60-minute show each week, and then you'll see them doing some social posts to promote the network as well. That's going to be the main area of contribution. And then we're doing a complete revenue split. So as ad money comes in, we're splitting it amongst equally amongst the creators. Anyway, with all that having been said, Sue Ann, it's your floor. You're going to take over the meeting, and you've set everything up wonderfully, and I can't wait to hear what you've got.
Thank you, Ross. I'm going to try to make it painless, of course. And I tried to think in terms of flow so that we could get through key things to get the channel moving. Because as Ross suggested, the sooner we can get the trickle, the sooner we can gain momentum and grow. I also think that I really love, just as an opener, I really love the concept of a united brand featuring so many talented creators. And I can already see that there's such a beautiful wide variety of topics that will be covered that does make us a possible go-to source for people for their programming. So I hope that, I think at first we're all going to have to maybe put in a little extra effort. And I think it's a great thing that we have each other to cross-promote and build together. But I think the idea of working as a brand, as a group, is really something unique and could be something special. So, to the meeting. On task. So we want everybody to offer their input on each and every item. We want to go with consensus rule whenever possible. If we can't reach consensus, of course, we'll do majority rule, just, kind of like to set up some agenda. Our purpose of this meeting is to plan for the official launch so that we can move ASAP in that MVP or minimal viable product mode to get this thing open and rolling slowly. Like I said, Ross is thinking, like a trickle into the bigger momentum is cool. Let's get it going and start showing the value that we can put together here. So that's one of the things. Then each agenda item, I'm going to try to only give it an allotted time. It'll be easier because right now there's less voices that'll be piping in on the questions or ideas. And so I'll try to keep moving it, to keep it on track. Also, the assignments for things to do to get this really in motion is going to be on a volunteer basis. You won't be drafted into anything. But as I said just a short time ago, it's probably a good idea that you feel like you're enthusiastic, energetic about this and willing to help get the launch, putting in a little extra towards the launch effort so that we have everything covered to get it off the ground. And finally, if you have anything that you want to make note of or keep track of to list to cover that I don't cover on the agenda, we'll try to grab that at the end. Okay, so moving right on. I only have 5 items, but under those items, there's some things broken down. So the first item is Joey, I think, had requested a channel mission statement. So Ross did put together a channel mission statement that could be what you might call the MVP, minimal viable product, giving us, again, a workable thing. Because as Ross and I were talking about a mission statement and working on the agenda, we realized that companies have like weekend retreats to battle out and talk through a mission statement. That's not something we can do in the form of this agenda. But Ross, do you want to read that, or you want me to read that statement?
You did a really nice job of putting most of it together. I took a scan of it, so why don't you go ahead and
okay.
to read it. I mean, it comes from all of our input, but basically you captured the spirit of what we're trying to do here.
So our mission, and this should be something that we should be putting out to keep us all in a focus and a direction together as a network. So the 100 TV network is a creative partnership based on the power of collaboration. It's made up of quality shows produced weekly and uniquely for 100 TV. So we each kind of want to be able to say, like, see the marketing mirror only on 100 TV. Anyway, so to get back to reading it. So produced weekly and uniquely for 100 TV by our group of talented personalities. 100 TV creators have a unified goal and purpose to combine forces and to best serve audiences, brands, and independent creators. So we, all rise together. So each creative partner will share equally in the advertising and sponsorship revenue. I think that's really something that's a key to making you want to feel good about being part of it. No one's more or less in the group. Like, look, I'm leading the agenda. Thank you for the opportunity and challenge, Ross. I hope I do it justice. Anyway, a volunteer steering committee from the pool of creators will guide the policy and procedures for channel operations, making fair and equitable decisions on all matters. Spots on the committee, of course, are open to all creative partners, and all committee meetings are open to all creative partners if you want to feel like attending. And being part of this professional creative partnerships means being a part of a unique new business model. It's based on an idea to pull our resources and our talents together to focus on a single channel growth strategy, enabling vendors to reach a bigger audience while greatly increasing the monetization opportunities for independent creators. I'm probably not supposed to say it, but we all have a say. We all have a pay. Anyway, back to the mission. 100 TV aspires to follow the network concept. So we want to be the greatest network out there, you guys, by showcasing a variety of shows. And like I said, I'm already seeing a nice rounded thing by independent content creators in an ongoing, regularly scheduled basis, continually working to build audience share and recognition as a quality in-demand platform. The sum of the whole is greater than its parts. That's our premise. What do you think?
Can
Very
you read
nice.
it again? And no, no, it's good. I think it's something we'll work on, like you said.
I
But
think they always evolve, right?
it's a
So
good. I think it's a good basis for starting out.
guys,
Is there anything in there that anybody would be uncomfortable with what we said?
sounds
Agreed
good
on
then.
all.
Yeah. What I loved immediately when Ross reached out to me, he was like, yeah, you know, what a it shouldn't even be a rad idea. There, I'm pitching out shows here. Look into the mirror, predict. See what I'm doing? But I mean, you know, what a simple concept that enough people aren't doing, that we can come together. We're not in competition. We work together. There's a diversity of voices and people and creators, but yet we can earn together. We can encourage each other and be part of something. And, you know, I know personally, you know, when I was in TV and the creative director, you know, I had a team, and now I'm my team, and you miss that interaction, even if it's just virtual like this.
Yeah.
So I think this is huge. And then you share in that. And like Sue Ann said, you know, everybody's equal in this. And that makes it great. I think some shows will rise maybe over other ones, but that doesn't make them better. That actually brings more eyeballs to the whole network. And that's great. So I'm excited.
I think we have a lot to offer, guys and gals. Okay, then. So one of the things that we kind of have to decide upon are sort of create. Hi, Jim. How are you?
Welcome, Jim.
I'm good. How's everybody?
Somebody's got
Sorry,
his-
I'm late. I was doing a remote production, so.
You're always on video, huh? Me, I'm like, oh, video today. Anyway, so we were kind of going over some of the agenda for everybody coming to agreement with how we run the channel, just to get you up to speed, Jim. And we're only on item 1, so we're just flying through. So one of the things that we need to talk about and to solidify are creator benefits and expectations and the content agreement. I'm just going to wrap it up really in a tight bow, because I think as we go through the agenda, we'll develop out some of these things. But the creator benefits we've already been talking about, you know, the shared resources, the rising as a brand together, the growing the audience as a group versus individually, all those things. But there's more benefits, the shared revenue and all that, of course, is what we're, heading towards. The expectations, I think the key expectation that everybody needs to be aware of is twofold. I think one is that we have to produce a unique to this channel only show. And it has to be unique to this channel for 1 year before you can share it to your own YouTube channel. So that this channel, in a way, offers exclusivity, right? We want that as a partner channel to be somewhere special to go. That's not to say, of course, that we're not going to be sharing on social, our shows, everybody's shows, each other's shows. We're not going to be promoting. We're not going to have playlists and so forth, but we're not allowed as part of the agreement to take the whole of the content produced particularly for the particular unique show for this channel and take it away for a year. Is that correct, Ross?
That is, yes.
And then the content agreement, I guess that's part of the content agreement and the expectations. Like I said, we'll get more specific as we go through, because we're going to talk about like what you might be expected as far as like helping to, do some social or to, carry brand information on your channel, that kind of stuff. We'll get to that. So also all of this as we go will also affect our letter and FAQ update as we're inviting and sharing in more creators. So To move to item 2, we need a launch plan. So the big question for today is channel start date. When is our go date group? When is our go date? So we
That's a
need to
tough
really try right now today to like nail down a date. How long do you need to be able to have a show produced to come on for the first, to go?
Well, I guess the
Anyone?
one question would be, are the shows going to be pre-recorded or live?
They're going to
Rush,
be
you wanna do that?
pre-recorded and then streamed, either streamed as live or uploaded and put in a playlist so that they debut. Like the idea is to make our YouTube channel as one linear sort of live or
Like a
premiered,
network channel. You missed
right?
that
Like
earlier.
one place,
Yeah.
one destination for all. Like one link sends you to all Monday's shows or whatever, right? And you can just stay there, and one goes into the next. In the beginning, I don't think it's realistic and the logistics of doing live. So, at some point, we may do some special event live. We may do some special show that a few of us will get together maybe and do something live. But I think for the first several months and maybe longer, having this on demand allows creators to batch
It'll help us
create.
get it rolling.
It allows us to organize, optimize all the things.
It respects everybody's time.
But the live experience can be there because you can show up when your show's on and you can chat with your audience and people can still gather around your show. But I think it's probably better for all of us and for the audience when you're trying to have half an hour, hour, half an hour commercial, half an hour, to have it all lined up in an pre-recorded fashion. So I think that's the best way. Keep
I
it
think
tight,
Okay.
keep to the
You
time.
can interact with your audience on your show times better, really, than when you're running a show, at least from my perspective, because I'm not that talented or coordinated or whatever.
And so that makes sense. And so I guess the other piece of that is we want the shows to be at least 30 minutes, or is it max at 30 minutes? I mean, what are we looking at as far as, since you are trying to kind of almost fit it
30-minute minimum requirement, I think it was.
30
and
minutes?
Then right now we were trying to do 30 to an hour, your choice, but 30 is the minimum, right, Ross?
Well, 30 or an hour. We want it to end on a hour or half hour so that what do you do with the next show? So that's another advantage of pre-recording it, right? Because you can, if you have to edit something out to make it a half an hour or an hour so that it fits that. And as we have sponsors and whatever, and a half an hour might really be a 29-minute show or a 28.5-minute show or what have you. But that's kind of the guide. Like, focus everything on the shows change on the half hour.
Okay.
Or hour. Anybody think
and it
differently
is
on
weekly,
that,
so-
or like
I think you just bring up a good point about the eventually, like even with YouTube at some point, right? We might have ads interrupt the flow of the show as well.
I guess if we don't monetize through AdSense, right, we don't have to worry about ads on our content, or they will still put ads on our content.
Can you hear me? I switched my mic.
Yeah, I can hear you.
And thanks to Eileen for letting me know.
That one's better, yeah.
So the way it works is it used to be you only got ads at one point, but now I think it was earlier last year that YouTube said that kind of they reserve the right to put ads on any channel at any time. So even if you're not in the partner program, which we wouldn't be for a while, you have to have 4,000 hours and 1,000 subs, that will more likely at some point have ads on videos. It may not be all videos because the clients still go in, advertisers still go in and buy based on content and things like that. So
Correct.
I won't be surprised if we see ads, and we don't have any control over those at all. So it could be we could be talking with one brand and a ad pops up, but there'll be different ads for different people. So it's not always the same as well.
Does anyone have a show date they want to throw out there to open the channel.
Well, this is Sue Ann, let's just stay on this for a second, because this is an interesting thing we have to factor, right? Like, what does that mean for advertisers who
You're
think...
jumping ahead on the agenda, but okay.
Well, okay. So basically we're sticking with a half an hour or hour to start with, and when an ad comes on, it'll either give you a chance to skip it after 5 seconds or whatever, or it will play, and then the viewer will pick up where they were, right? So if in the video, so it'll delay the viewer a few seconds, but overall it won't change things very much for the viewer experience, other than they have to watch a little bit or a little bit more of a commercial. Does that make sense?
Unless
It's like
they have
typical
YouTube Premium. So like
typical
I have
YouTube,
YouTube
right?
Premium.
Welcome, Brizzetti.
I'm sorry.
Hi, Brizzetti.
Hi, everyone.
Good to see you.
Hello.
Go ahead, Kevin.
So if you have YouTube Premium, you don't see ads. That's one of the reasons I finally bit the bullet and got YouTube Premium. So you would never see ads, period.
But from the creator side, we
But that's
can't
not the
control
majority of
that.
the
Is that right? From the creator side, right? Kevin, we have no control of YouTube putting ads. Is that correct?
No,
Okay.
no. So in other words, like I don't see ads because I pay the monthly fee to YouTube Premium, right? It's like, if you do Hulu, there's a plan on Hulu, you don't get any ads, or if you're on the lowest tier, you're going to get them. So if you were watching my channel and you're not on YouTube Premium, you're going to see ads, and I don't have any control over those ads. Now, if I do my own, this is my channel, if I do my own sponsorship deal with X brand, I control that, and I have to, and I have to be upfront about that this video is sponsored by and everything. And you even have to, there's a box you have to click when you upload the video. So that's something that Ross will have to think about at that point when we have advertisers, that we have to be very clear that it's sponsored content.
Yeah.
All right,
definitely
Sue
get
Ann, don't let
more
me
of that.
interrupt again. Go right back
Yes,
to the
please.
agenda.
Back up, buddy.
All right, I'm just following Ross. He got me so distracted. I'm sorry. Sue Ann.
Challenging him to run things here, and he's a better MC, but I'm trying. Okay, so so we're really looking for how soon do we think we can start to upload, or what can we pick for a launch date where we have that launch event that I think, because I think this is an idea I'm throwing out there. I think that we should have a group live stream event, kickoff launch party. But I think we should do something completely unexpected. I don't think we should do like the panel where everybody just introduces their damn show like everybody all the time. I think we should be like outstanding from the get-go. I think we should do something really unique. And where is Jeff in high def? Because I would call on him at this point, Mr. Creative himself. I know for a fact, okay, I'm going to throw something out there to get you guys juices going. But okay, I know for a fact in real life, he does some sort of game show situation where he's like the MC and it's like, come on down, or you know what I mean? Maybe we set up something like that where we're each, the contestant in a game show presenting in some weird and unique way each of our shows. Or maybe we come in as avatars of some sort and be weird characters. Or maybe we dress up and wear or have a hat to represent our show. I don't care. I'm like, come on, guys. So don't you think it would be cool and so like highly professional if we jumped out of the box with our launch in a new and different way than typical? Just that's
By the way, I am dressed up, so I'm offended at that. I wore my best T-shirt for this. So
I tried to get girly and put something over my T-shirt just for you, Ross.
I mean, I think the whole concept that we're doing is pretty like, man, these guys just put together a full day of programming or 5 hours of programming, and it's show after show after show, and it's on time, and it's delivered, and it's professional, and I think that speaks to what we're about and what sponsors in the future can expect from us and what the audience can expect from us. I think we can do little.
Easy. I want to be a highly like special production. I'm not talking like to downgrade the professionalism or whatever, but I'm saying to do something original and unique and like not
The
something
concept of what
typical
we're
out of the box.
doing, with the concept of what we're doing with independent creators, is so unique. I mean, find
don't wanna do
another.
a
Is there
special
another
one?
network or channel that would be operating like this that isn't like, the Sunday night lineup of CBS or something? That like I think that showing that you mentioned the minimum viable product. Showing the product is the best introduction to what we
Can't
are.
do it
Of
some way
course, we
unique?
can do like fun videos to promote and different things like that. But I don't think doing a live event is the right thing when we're first kicking off. I think
What if instead of doing like commercials for sponsors, since we don't have sponsors yet, if we could maybe each have like a trailer for our show to show in
That's
between?
actually one thing I definitely want us to do, and that was something
Yeah.
I threw out at Ross, is to have a playlist of trailers. And that
Yeah.
could be used, I have it here, it could be used in 3 ways: as initial content, so that as we're starting off, there is something on the channel. And then it can also be a way to intro the network to, whatever, to people, to everyone, or it could be a sales tool to network to potential sponsors.
Right, and make that in different
But
sizes for
you
sure.
don't have to do a
Yeah,
trailer, right,
sure.
Ross, unless you want, or
Well, I mean, I think
you-
everybody should want to have like a 30-second trailer or a minute trailer or whatever what their show is about, but nobody's forced to do one. But it would make sense, right? I mean, we could even have a half an hour before the shows start or whatever where we just run the trailers, or after the show. Like, there can be times where we just run some trailers, just like we can take clips from the shows and we can have a half an hour at the sometime in the day where we just run 3-minute clip back to back to back to back from from the different shows. Or there's a lot of different things we can do, but I think it's a good idea to do a trailer for your show.
So-
But I don't know that like is a make or break it deal. I don't know.
does everybody agree
think-
then that we
Bridgetti?
should have no kickoff event? Let me just mark that off. No kickoff live event.
I think this is our kickoff event.
Well,
There you
this
go.
is
Trailers
triple-
also gives
this
us
is
an
the triple,
opportunity
not the
to
fireworks.
cross promote the shows.
Right. So like I can share Bridgetti's trailer on my social. Jim can share mine. Sue Ann can share Jim's, Kevin, and so on and so forth. We can all be sharing the trailers, or we
Yeah.
can put them, like I say, we can take little clips from all of them and put them into one little, 60-second where each person's saying a line about their show, or like there's a lot of different ways we could do it, right?
Well, I think too, even the idea of the trailers is great, but I also think even if each of us does a short for our show that would go on the channel, because that's going to drive its own set of traffic, and that could maybe be timed to be released over a period of time. Kevin, what do you think? Because I know
That's
I
a
look at
great
you as
idea,
much more
too.
of a YouTube expert than me.
Well, I'm not about an expert, but I do spend way too much time on YouTube. Yeah, I think that is good. I mean, let me piggyback on that. So, I mean, the way YouTube is going to work, we can have the show slots all we want to, but I will say my prediction is most. See, Ross, I'm doing it again.
There you
My
go.
prediction is the way YouTube works, we will have more views over time, regardless of when the shows air. It's kind of like live.
Yeah.
You can go live today at 7 p.m. and you'll have a certain amount of viewers. The majority of live shows, though, have their views after live because of the way YouTube works. So they're going to find our shows when people log on, by topics, by titles and things like that, by guests. And that won't have anything to do with when the show aired. So, I think it's good that we're going to have show times, but I think the majority of our viewing will come from people finding us, and then they may go to the channel page. I do like an idea of the first playlist going, new to 100 TV, start here. And
Right,
it
right.
might be a big trailer and then other trailer type things where people go, oh, that's what this is about. Might even be one from Ross going, hey, you want to be a part of this? And then it points them to that, and then you lead them from there. The other thing too about a launch date is we're not complete yet. We're always going to have people adding to us. So I'm just going to throw a date out. If we said April 1st, which is probably the worst date in the world to launch anything, right? No, really, seriously. No, we're not joking. But
if we do that, then we could do Sue Ann's event on April 1st, and then
do whatever we
April
want to.
2nd be like
You
regular.
guys aren't wanting to be creative. I'm flabbergasted because I think that would make us kind of have a splash and not I know we're drizzling. I know this is our first drip, but I feel like like there should be some grand announcement, like you said, to go with like public relation PR releases, and you know what I mean, like and we all should be promoting starting right now because this is happening. But at the same time, if we could say here's where we officially open, and tomorrow you can start watching programming.
Well, and again, I think whatever day we pick, if we say, again, April 1st, just sake of argument, and we've got 8 shows or, 8 creators lined up, on April 4th, we may have 2 more. And so it's always going to be growing. So awesome. I personally think, this is it. We've launched. I think we can start adding shows as we add shows. I just don't think we'll have the audience yet. Not trying to poo-poo the idea. I just don't think we have the audience yet to put a lot of work into a big production. I think
but like you said, that production will hold its place from there on and grow. Like anyone who comes to the channel might get to enjoy our start. So there's that.
So let's move on to like some logistical things that we have to consider.
Let me continue the agenda then, Ross. Well, yeah, because we are jumping ahead, but these are all important things. But I think so to get to a date, we're putting up videos. There's 2 things that I think it comes down to. One, are we we've talked about like eventually having a channel manager or channel producer, I think you called it, Kevin, that's the person that collects and puts things up and makes sure they're done properly. But maybe that's, as Ross mentioned, a hired position later once we start rolling. So is your idea, Ross, if I understand correctly, for the minimum of us that are already on board, that we get admin and we each put up our shows at the beginning? Is that the plan?
I think that's one way we could do it, or we could have one person serve if somebody wants to volunteer to serve in that role. But what we're going to do is I think we should create templates. So this is the basic template for your show description, and most of it's going to be basically the same. It's, about the network, about
we want to get it consistent.
But yeah, so like when you look at a description,
boxes to fill, right?
When you look at a description, it'll say 100 TV, you'll just know, right? Because this is our format. Even our thumbnails, maybe there's certain guidelines so that our thumbnails, like, you just can't miss that this is 100 TV, and it reinforces it over and over and over again. So with all that, hopefully it shouldn't be too burdensome.
I'm trying to get it back to the MVP, Ross, because all the things you're jumping forward to are really important. But if today we're going to decide on the channel is open on such and such date, we want to keep it to the minimal. So
Sue Ann, hang on.
You to say, you have to have your description, you have to have this many, or you give your links. Like, you want to set up that framework, maybe? I'm trying to, make sure we.
Well, I think there's certain things that we should have in place from when we start. Whether we do that on March 31st or we do it on August 31st, it's going to be a day of coming together and going, well, this sort of sucks, but let's get this boilerplate stuff down and get it done. And so why not launch, you can do an MVP and still have certain elements that are, professional.
That's what we're supposed to decide today, right? So, what date are we shooting for? Who wants to make those primary box items, right?
All right. So what I'm saying is, I think in the beginning, because I want to answer the question that was raised, was I think in the beginning we all follow the guidelines. We're all channel admins or whatever the title is, managers, and we all kind of upload our own stuff, and then maybe somebody has assigned a day to check that it's all lined up properly or ready to go or whatever. And then when we can, the ideal would be if we could find somebody who wants to be a creative partner but isn't interested in hosting a show, but enjoys the YouTube management side of things
Action management.
and serves in that capacity. Does that make sense to everybody? Or, I mean, I think we all have YouTube channels here. We all have an idea of what's involved in uploading a video and all that, and then we'll have guidelines, and everybody kind of follows those guidelines.
Right. So do you want to set up the first minimal guidelines so that we can actually have a date to... This is what you told me to do, Ross. Move this forward.
Okay.
You're the one who wants to trickle sooner than later and not do a major launch. So what date are we going to put this channel in gear? Do we want to make it April 1st, March 31st, March 17th?
Well, it's not up to me. It's when everybody feels. When does
How
everybody
long
feel?
does anyone need to be able to put their show together? That was the initial question when we started this section, which is taking over the time limit. Anyone? No one.
I think that's got to be up to everybody. I mean, I
with your
personally
vote.
can't have an interview, but I can't personally have an interview show done by next week. I just can't. I may need a month to get 4
What?
in the can because I want to stay ahead. Where Jim,
Right.
I'm using an example. Jim could go tomorrow because he's got something that he wants to do. So,
We need to
again,
give
I think we
ourselves
just
a
launched.
deadline, I think.
I think we just launched. I think this is our launch. We're about as official as you could be now because we're live on the channel and we've got people watching and commenting.
Right.
Thankfully,
So are you
because
saying,
that's
are
already
you
my mind.
saying that anybody who's ready should start uploading to the channel once Ross gives us the criteria of the, basic things that are supposed to fall in line with, having the logo on your thumbnail or
Yeah.
having your, only
Yes.
allowing a guest to get that,
Yes.
and then just start uploading whenever you want. Is that,
Yes.
that everybody shaking their head? Yes.
Well,
Anyone
I think
serious?
we
Upload
ought
it
to.
as- Upload it as private because I don't think we want it showing up because I think going back to Ross's point, you want to schedule it to show up at a certain
whole
time. So I think
lineup.
if you have your stuff ready and you can upload it to private, then as an example, okay, Kevin's got 4 shows done. He's already got them to the channel. He doesn't have to deal with scheduling it for the time and date that we wanted to appear as if it was, the premiere of that date. So I think
Okay, so
that
then
would
we're
work.
back to a launch date versus a trickle.
I think that a launch date where we have a certain number of shows, it doesn't, if everybody's not ready by that date, that's okay because more people, like Kevin said, people are just going to keep coming on. So we can't keep pushing the date back because
Right.
but the people who are here today,
Gotta
if we
commit.
say,
Gotta
when
commit.
does everybody, okay, so you think like a month, Kevin, you could launch, right? Like if we could launch, if we
April
wanted to
1st.
launch one day of
Yeah,
programming
for me.
where we have 6+ shows, we have hours, we have at least 3 or 4 hours in a row where like, this is our first day of broadcasting. You could say
Raise
like,
your hand if you could have a show for April 1st.
well, we don't want to do April 1st, but we get the idea.
Well, we have to pick a date, Ross. Pick it. So
What
we
d-
have
what
a
day of the
deadline.
week-
I need a deadline.
That's
I work on deadlines.
that's a Saturday. April 1st is a Saturday.
Correct. So I think we want to launch on a Monday or some other weekday.
Anyone
so-
have a date that they want to pick?
I mean, April
have-
3rd?
That's fine.
If
It's
we
my
don't have a
birthday. It'd be a
deadline,
great day.
we'll
to
never
launch.
move.
Oh, I mean, then we do a birthday then we do a big celebration.
And he's the one who
Jim, would
wears
you be
the
my
hat.
just for your birthday.
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
Jim has to wear the hat, obviously. So
So what,
Of course, we can't sing to Jim because that song's not public domain anymore. We'll immediately be taken down.
There's the man. There's the man. There's our creative guy right there that's going to give us the production idea for that. That guy there. Hi, Jeff.
Jeff, what date are we launching? What date are we launching?
Dave.
Jeff?
Yesterday.
yesterday,
See?
okay.
See, the man is not afraid to pick a day.
Oh, I don't know. It's good to see you all. I had a little bit of trouble trying to connect with my normal setup back here, and so I'm on my phone. But yeah, I don't know what I missed, but I didn't want to miss a lot. I know that.
You sound and look great on the phone. So I mean, that's like you've got your studio in the background and everything. I wouldn't have even known you were on the phone.
What you missed is I volunteered your creative genius to help us think of something unique, original, and creative for a launch or a big, something. But then people aren't sure if we want to do anything to launch. I don't know. Come on, creative people like you, step up, Jeff.
Well, I'm thinking Ross should do a painting show like Bob Ross.
There you go. I
You can paint each of us in our shows in the painting.
So
I said you should be an MC and call us down, and you should be like a game show thing or something, or I don't know. I know you have so many.
We could probably do. I mean, obviously, everybody's got to figure something that has value for them, value for the network. How do we do this thing collaboratively? Because we all know that we've got our own little circle of influence, and together there's a much greater reach for everybody. And it's really the right thing to do to begin with. It's funny because Ross, one of the things I've never put in any of the editions of the book, but I've always believed the next big thing in streaming has got to be syndication, because platforms own everything. And it would be wonderful to have this opportunity at some point where you've got your programming guide like you're talking about. Like we know, 3 o'clock it's Ross at, Dealcasters is up at 4 o'clock. I love that. Now I'm older, right? I mean, I'm going to be 30 soon. So, it's one of these things where people love on demand, but I think on demand works against a lot of folks. But that's a whole separate thing. But we could. Hey, look, my family has a game show. If you guys go to Facebook and look at Game Show Loco, you'll see me being a clown. But we could do anything that would get people's attention. There's a great crowd of people here.
Yeah, I mean, I think we need to set a launch date where we're gonna come out of the gate with we have 5 shows or 8 shows or 10 shows that day, so that it's exactly what it's going to be, but not quite on the big scale that it will eventually be. And then maybe we can talk about who wants to do some special live the night before or live that morning or a game show or a special launch show or something. But I think we need to figure out when we can go live and when we can really have programming on the channel that's going to be representative of what the channel's going to be for as long as it lives.
I think we should show a level of a production level and something unique off the bat was my thought, Jeff, that I think,
Well, and remember, and I think that's a great thought too, Slan. I think that the thing to think about is that production level is subjective to everybody, because the truth of the matter is, as fancy as a room, like whatever I've got over there, doesn't matter. If you're great at your content, you can literally be at your dining room eating pretzels and people are going to be like, oh my God, this is great. So there's a subjective thing there, right?
I'm thinking about the channel as a brand, the whole channel as a brand.
No, that I think definitely needs to look stellar.
For us to have something exceptional in the launch idea as an idea. It's just an idea.
No, I think for branding, that makes a lot of great sense. I mean, I've only been on the call 10 minutes, so I'm still trying to absorb what everybody's thinking. But Ross, when you said everybody having content ready, it sounds like you're making the case that these don't necessarily have to be live streams, which I think is actually an excellent idea, because you can begin. When I did my TV show, I produced a biotech healthcare public policy boring show on Sunday mornings on the CBS station in DC for 5 years. But we had 4 weeks of those in the can in case somebody got sick. So are you thinking about something like that?
My plan is to take a day every month and record 4 or 5 shows, record a show, change my shirt, record a show, change my shirt,
I like
put
that
a different
idea
black
That makes me
T-shirt
feel a lot
on,
better.
put a blue T-shirt on, go back to the black T-shirt.
Black.
Hey, Joey. Well, first of all, welcome to Joey Garrity. Great to see you here.
Hi, Joey.
So, yeah, I mean, I think that being live is not realistic in the beginning, and I don't know that it we want this to be something that we do that can bring in hopefully significant revenue to complement what we're doing in our businesses and elsewhere. So the timing of getting everybody in sync to do lives back to back to back, and it's unrealistic. So
Right. Yeah. It's good.
we
you see
want to
that.
give people a live TV experience without necessarily requiring everything that goes into live. So your show will go live at 3:00, meaning it will air at 3:00, and we'll all show up to chat with you at 3:00. But you don't actually have to be producing a show every week at 3:00. You can
That's
batch
perfect.
that so that you can spend the other Wednesdays or Mondays or whatever working on your business and show up for a half an hour to chat with your audience or
Am I
what
allowed to
have
say
you.
April 3rd is our target date, gentlemen and ladies?
When does everybody
For
feel
this
that
long-winded Ross thing? No, I'm kidding.
Why?
Is
You know,
April 3rd what we're shooting for to have our first day of
Well,
programming?
I think upstream from that, Suan, we probably got to get some other things in our head. At least for me, I don't know, Joey. It's nice to see you. By the way, I'm Jeff. I think there's a lot at play, right? We're trying to figure out how this thing works, how we're going to do it. Could we get something ready for April? I think that's probably realistic. But the bigger things, and everybody, please, I don't want to talk too much, but I'm still a little bit unclear on some of the pieces of it. Not that it's a buy-in for me. I'm in either way, but I think we kind of need to know a little bit more about what the thought is there. Because if it were me, I would just put Dealcasters on all day long and you'd be good.
Can I jump in just for a second? So I have my own network. I just launched, it just dropped in January. And so I've like learned a tremendous amount in a very short period of time. What I found that works really well with the network is to make sure that the branding is there. Otherwise, then it's just another network with a bunch of spaghetti on the wall again. Right. And I think that I've looked at the other networks and they don't work really well because people don't understand that there's actually a coalition and collaboration going on with each other. Right. So I think we need to figure out how we're going to brand the particular show that goes on to this network, right? First, that way everyone already has that templated. That's what I've done with my network. I template it, right? And then it just repeats, right? Step and repeat, right? The other thing too is it's very helpful for the brand for us to come out, like for us to buzz it and drip campaign it before the network goes live, because the marketplace really likes this like coming soon and stay tuned and all this stuff. They like all this because
I think that should be starting immediately with the promotions, and everyone can take their part in helping that cause using social channels, their own social channels and whatever. But I also think that what you missed earlier when we said we definitely have to have a templated thing where there's a requirement for the branding, there's a requirement for what you put up that's consistent with every other show, so that you're not doing something way out of line with the brand. You know what I mean? Also, Ross, we've been going back between the trickle out content and the launch date theory, but I don't think that we'll accomplish anything without kind of date that's our deadline that we agree on. And that was one of the things we were trying to come up with today to get everybody in gear, and then to go down the list and then say, okay, in order to do that, here are the minimum viable product items that need to be in place. But I think you're right. I think branding might even be, the previous step, and who like Ross has done a good job with throwing out a lot of stuff already, with little clips and whatever. But how do we create that? Who wants
but let me just finish with the strategy really quick, y'all. Okay, is that the reason that for my network, for instance, I do bumper videos. Okay, there's a reason, there's a strategy behind that. Okay, when sponsors drop in, right, my individual host is, by the way, they're all gorgeous. My individual women entrepreneur host, right, that they don't have to hold something up. They're not going to have to do anything like that. I've created it in a template with the opening component bumper video. So all I have to do is I just have to slip in the brand, and then I populate it throughout the entire network, right? I think it's just a smarter way to go, because
I think that's what Ross was saying, isn't it, Ross?
I mean, let Joey just tell what she wants to tell. I mean, it's not my.
I think it's
brilliant.
This earlier, yeah, but
we I don't know if we did or we didn't, but let Joey just finish what she's saying.
Sorry, Joey.
So sorry about that, but I was on with clients earlier, so
that's good.
Okay, so but what I'm saying is, and here's what else I think I like about the network is that not only did I do an intro bumper, but I did an exit bumper too, and I did that on purpose. Again, so that we can guarantee, but I'm also leading with my network about my I have almost 11 million online reach right now, right? And so leading with that, but when you brand this, you have to be very clever on the front end. You don't want to say 100 TV, right? This is not how Bravo and them all do it, right? You want to be clever. So you want to pick a symbolism, right? And then roll into the 100 TV. So mine is 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 because I'm very symbolic, right? I like 5, and it's actually a media number, right? And so every time a show goes live and has 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, what's the what are we saying to the marketplace? Yes. So it's just something to think about, right? In terms of the branding and being very clever, right? Because whether you guys like traditional TV or not, it's $1 billion business, and there's a reason. There's a Peacock, right? There's a way that they're doing certain things.
Exactly what we need, Joey. It's exactly what we need.
You know what I mean? So then the templates in Canva, everyone grabs it, right? Everyone knows what they have to do, and it all sits there. And then I guess my other question too is are we going to be leveraging our social media for this as well? And then we're going to be cross-pollinating?
Yes.
Of course.
So the expectation is that everybody will do like 4 social posts, and a social post could be an email to your list if you'd rather do that. So it's 3 social posts and an email. If you're going to do a live stream and talk, but like 4 pieces of substance that are marketing the network or another creator in the network, in addition to what you're doing on your own channels to promote your own show. That seems reasonable and doable, right? Like maybe, 2 Instagram posts, a tweet, and a Facebook post. There's some, or email your list and, 2 tweets and a LinkedIn, wherever you're visible and you have an audience and you think it's effective. Does that sound like a reasonable way to get started?
I think
we were trying to. I'm sorry. We were trying to make a list of those like we talked, calling them expectations. So there's a couple levels of expectations, like creator expectations, and then like content. What do we call it? Like the content agreement is what we called it, where you're expected to, and then those expectations of like what other social or the having the branding intros, all that stuff. It should be part of that, right? That expectation.
That's what we're ironing out right now, right?
Right.
I mean, that's
right.
what I'm asking.
I'm just trying to categorize it because we had a few things under there which just would belong under there too. That's all. I'm just trying to organize what we're doing here.
I mean, I think too, the other part of this too, I just did a show, so I'm gonna take off my diamonds too.
Jewelry coming off.
I'm like, is that I think too, the other thing too that this is just my 2 cents that I've found that works really nicely is that we got to leverage and tag the network. And some network content creators might not like that, right? In my network, they love it, right? That's why they're in my network. They want to tag each other. They want that thread, right? But just sharing our shows out there, right? And just leveraging our own email lists and stuff. I think you start kind of hitting a non-momentum in a weird way.
Well, that's why I'm saying 4 times a week you're
Right,
promoting
but tagging each
not
other,
your show. Of course. Of course.
tagging you and Daniel
course.
and Kevin and everyone. Okay, so I just want to make sure, because I know sometimes content creators don't always like some don't like that. I'm just saying that out loud.
Is everybody good with that?
Well, I thought that was, I mean,
I don't
to me,
see
that's
Jeff
been the
saying
strength.
yes.
I think that's been the strength of this network is that, I mean, you know, if somebody's just in it for themselves, I don't think this is the network. I think if you know, if we're not sharing each other and tagging and promoting, you know, it may not be constant. I do think we got to promote our own shows though too, because we have our own fans and followings and friends as well. But I mean, if somebody's just in it for themselves, I'll let I'll let Ross say, you know, try a different network because this one isn't for you. Because I mean, this whole thing is built on collaboration and splitting. So
I just feel like I have a lot of
agree.
technical questions on how we execute this. Are we uploading videos that have all of these tags in it, or are we? And maybe this isn't the right meeting for us to talk about how that all actually plays out, but that's something that we should definitely talk about and figure out prior to a launch of any sort. Yeah.
But
I think
also
one of
too-
the I'm sorry. I think one of the things to Joey's point is that, you know, maybe what we do from a network perspective is find a way for those promos for the text and, you know, even maybe the image like she was talking about with Canva or whatever it might be. But if the network somehow can support that, what that does for when you get to 100 creators or even more, people aren't struggling every week going, okay, so what am I going to say about this guy? I don't really know him, but I do, but I like the show, but I don't really know about it, you know? And so maybe there's a way to support the creators that way. So now it's like, hey, it's Monday. This is your Monday distro email. These are the things you need to get out this week. And then it's like, Ross, you do such a great job with your book. I mean, that's a perfect textbook example of what that could look like. And that would be really beneficial, I know, for me.
Sounds good.
I love that idea, Jeff, because the idea, I think that the structural component, it's like it's a dream to think that everyone's going to tag each other on every show. I mean,
Yes.
it's just not realistic. It's not realistic.
Yeah.
Well,
Just
as
not.
it grows, it is unrealistic.
It's
But
not.
I think you'll of course look. I think it's about supporting the brand as a whole.
Yeah, but not every show. You do 4 shows a month, a week, and you're going to tag, and this is just this many until it gets to 100 and plus.
Yeah, that's too
I
much.
mean,
You're going to have to
that's what I'm
put
saying. It's not realistic. You want to.
and also
Yeah,
your
16
audience
times a month,
isn't
yeah.
interested in everybody's topic, are they? Like my social audience might not want to know about some topic. Seriously, I might have to choose the topics and shows that fit my audience because I don't generally share things that are so off topic with what I share as a general rule on social.
Well,
one thing
brings up
I might
excellent point.
recommend we do, because, and I know
Pardon
it'll
me?
take a little bit of time,
What'd you
is
say, Joe?
if
I'm
we
sorry.
create a LinkedIn company page for the brand and we can get up to 150, 200 followers, we can create a newsletter and we can create events on that page. That way we're not, you know, because I think it's a great point about like all of a sudden your stuff gets like polluted and they're like, it's like every time Jim's on whatever channel, he's talking about something else. And that gives people kind of a way that they start to get that information, not only in their feed, but then LinkedIn emails that newsletter. So if the newsletter says coming up this week, these are the shows we're going to highlight, you could,
Brilliant.
you know, start to create other things with that content. That could be a place for even doing some repurposing as well. And it's that, you know, really that's the business to business network, which I think is what a lot of us are trying to approach. So that's kind of my thoughts a little bit on that.
I
And
like
we could
that a
all
lot,
be
yeah.
made admins on that company page.
The other great thing with that real quick is that by putting a logo and having a page and a description, then we can all add, if we want to, I don't know, we have to be required, but anybody who wants to can add Creative Partner 100 TV network to their
badge, yeah,
experience
awesome.
on their,
Yes.
and then people know that they can reach out to us. Hey, how do I get involved with that? Maybe I want to be a host, or I want to sponsor your shows, or I think we could do a joint venture or whatever. Like, there's all these possibilities, but everybody, it not only elevates us individually, but it elevates the network by having a bunch of visible creators with that logo right there in their experience. And, you know, it also helps us individually, I think.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you mentioned that everybody can participate, because that's something further down on the list, like who's responsible for the channel social media, like who handles that. Now, Ross opened a lot of those channels, but I love what Jim just shared, that page could be adminned by multiple people and it doesn't fall all on one person's head.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. And I love what Joey said about the branding, because the branding is key so that people see that there's a stellar network in place and it's legit. But a brand is nothing without what it's, you know, giving to everybody. So the creator is very important in that as well. And I think it's really fun in that balance between the two. But that's a great idea. And the LinkedIn page, Ross, you know, like you said, when you hit a certain amount, I think it's 150, you can get the LinkedIn Live going and stream to that, you know, even at times and things. So maybe there's an opportunity there to let that be the top of the list kind of thing, you know?
Right. And it doesn't mean that, like, we can do our daily regular programming on the YouTube channel and that can be the focus, but maybe we do some sort of business outreach, or, you know, 5 shows that are based around a certain vertical in the business world get together and do a roundtable on LinkedIn Live or something like that. So there's so many promotion opportunities that, you know, will serve the network, but if we're smart, they also serve all of us.
Should our deadline and action thing out of this meeting then be about putting these production materials in place and setting up these, you know, minimum viable outlines of what you're expected as far as, you know, placing your videos, the items that, you know, will be consistent to everybody, somebody making those brand intros and outros, you know, and putting together those checklists for like again, if we're going to trickle out the show and we're going to start it the sooner the better, then we should have our action plan today should jump back from the launch idea of the shows to what Joey's suggestion with the promotional campaign that's going to run the whole marketing. And
I would do that. I would do that for a minimum of 3 weeks straight. Like, that's where we're at now out there in the marketplace. Like, they're so overwhelmed with things. It's bananas right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like, you got to pound. Like, I had never had to pound so hard in my entire career right now than on, you know, because, you know, you got to pound it because they're not quick at first.
So
right?
Everyone should be thinking about creating a trailer that can be on that playlist, that can be part of our sales tool and our marketing tool and our channel, having some initial content as one priority for everybody. Then we should try to start taking volunteers who will, you know, start putting some content on that LinkedIn page, or Ross opening it and putting us on there to start, you know, putting content up there. We could even, as content, we could even put stuff about, you know, like teases about our individual shows. We could put, you know, content about how excited we are to be part of this unique opportunity and elite group. You know, we could start actually pollinating and you know, putting stuff out there right away as we're building those assets by whoever volunteers to do certain things. Now, I think we also, as a minimum viable product, have to have a website that at least has, you know, a main page, maybe our creator pages, which again will need a framework of what your responsibilities are that you need to provide to be consistent with how Ross has in mind for the design of the minimal system of the branding
Yeah.
for that. We also need a page that is our minimal viable product. We're not even ready to get into sponsorships, packages, selling, or advertising, I don't think, at this point. But we could already
Well,
have right away a page up that says, as a sponsorship page, if you're interested in sponsoring this channel, bam, that's the page for now until we fill in those more the rest of the logistics and come up with our packaging and pricing. This is, to get things actually into an action mode.
Yeah, well, so listen. Number one, I think that's amazing detail, and I think you're absolutely right about the steps that are going to be involved. This is where I think I am right now with everything. Number one, I would love to hear from everybody, one by one, speaking to whether or not we think that this April timeframe is the right time frame. And I don't know how everybody feels. I tend to be, and I can move whenever you all want me to, but I tend to want to make things look better, not faster. I want something that people come away with going, my God, that was actually pretty cool. Not, hey, you got to, it's this new thing, right? So to me, April or May, or even crazy as it sounds, maybe June, to me is not out of the realm of the reasonable. It's more about, does the brand represent itself well? And the other thing that I would say before everybody, I would love to hear what you think about this, is that and I've been editing for 40 years, if you guys want me to build kind of the network vibe for some trailers, if we put a Dropbox together and you can drop your show, like highlights of your show, and do something like this in your own room saying, hey, like Kevin, by the way, great to see you finally. It's like, hey, I'm Kevin. This is what I'm all about, right? My show takes care of helping creators find their magic and how they can do it online and not feel intimidated by it. And you can watch me on the 100 TV network. And there's maybe the last 30 seconds is something everybody says. And then it's got a little bit of the brand. It's got a little bit of you in there. And then what I'll do is I'll take it and fancy it up a little bit. And that, I think, may help. But even before all these great ideas about the creative, I'm worried about, are we all saying yes, but we're not really sure where we're going to the party, right? And that's the thing I want to hear from everybody on. And sorry, I talk too much. I know.
No, this is great, Jeff. I mean, I think we need to get a sense of what the date is. Start with the end in mind, so to speak. So when we launch, we want to have certain things in place. We want to have a certain level of branding that speaks to our professionalism, our seriousness. We want to have time in order, like that's what I think I'm gathering, Jeff, and I feel the same way. I think it should be unmistakable when you see a piece of content that's 100 TV. It doesn't mean there isn't room for individual creativity and stuff, but there should be certain branding elements, from a thumbnail to the way your description is written, to the way the screen looks, to where the logos, that you cannot miss the fact that Jeff's show and Joey's show and Sue Ann's show and so forth are all part of 100 TV. And all roads have to lead back there if we're going to be able to grow this and monetize it to its potential. So there are certain things we need to do, no matter whether we launch tomorrow or we launch in a year. I think we need to start with, like, when we launch, what is the minimum we need to do in order that we're all comfortable with this without taking a year to do it, right? So, like, whether we launch in April or we launch in May or we launch in June, we know we have to do certain things, right? We have to know how we're going to upload, what format, all these like little things we need. Maybe we need to break off into like pairs or small committee or something, and like this group owns this and this, like we get a direction as a group, but then the small details will be worked out and then brought back to the group, and we go, yeah, that's perfect. Right? Because otherwise, but go ahead.
I was going to say, so on the agenda, I call this the foundational stuff. So it's the creator criteria, the channel requirements, all the things like you're just saying. And but do we agree that we should be promoting, since we opened this today, doing a live broadcast, we should be promoting immediately? Or
I think, to Jeff's point, this is just my 2 cents. That's it.
Mhm.
Okay, is that we should only have one trailer. We shouldn't have multiple trailers. Okay, you want to hit the marketplace. It's like Mission Impossible. Whether you guys like it or not, doesn't matter, right? It's going to be coming out. You need to hit it over and over and over and over again, right? Right. So there should be one trailer, master hero trailer, maybe like 2 sneak peeks, right? And we can utilize those and leverage and tag each other as a coming soon component, right? And I would probably say realistically, we're probably looking like May. Okay.
At the
That's
earliest, in my opinion.
yeah, that's my 2 cents. But in the trailer too, you still want to have a little bit of a script. So
What'd you call
the
those
script,
other two? You said a master hero trailer and two.
Sneak
What
peek.
did you call them?
they're 2 teasers, like they're like sneak peek
Teaser.
teasers,
Okay, thank you.
right? Right. And then you want to have like a little script, right? And then someone can be their own content creator, right? Then Jeff will, that way he'll have the rhythm in the editing room already, right? And on the front end, I think that Ross needs to come up with, I mean, you are the brain to the network, right, Ross? Ross needs to come up with what is going to be his peacock, what is going to be his symbolism on the front end, and that's going to help tremendously because
It
all of a
will.
sudden now you have templates. Now everyone knows how it's rock and rolling. Everyone knows what's going to be at the front end and everything. And then these other details about where we're going to upload and stuff. Everyone here is such a master.
Well,
Like,
now might be a good time
a
to throw
long
this
time.
out there, guys. I have a
It's gonna
surprise
be-
for you. For our branding, we had an offer from Jody Krangle to do the brand voiceovers for us as a partner, her contribution becoming the voice of the brand without being a creator, meaning giving the brand its own professional. She is she is the best in the business and has made this offer. And I'm pleased to bring it to the meeting today to tell you guys, because we script it. She can be the voice of the brand. And how awesome would that be?
That would be hot.
I think it would be
I love it.
amazing to have a professional voiceover person who is not like people going, oh, today that's Jeff, tomorrow that's Jim, that's Ross. They're like, it's just this one voice. Like,
No,
this
I
is
totally
And
agree.
it doesn't take like somebody's show voice and put them in
Right,
front. It puts
this
us
is
back all over.
CNN or whatever. Like, there's just
Yeah.
that one voice that becomes the iconic
And
sort of.
if she's good enough for Verizon, I guess we could, handle that.
I love it.
Yes.
I absolutely love
I
it,
think that's
Joanne.
hot.
I think
That's
it's
so
awesome.
cool.
I think that is a differentiator to have that professional gloss that like nobody really.
Yep.
brand
And
voice.
that would go in the pre-marketing. We would start
Yes.
spotlighting that she's doing the voiceover for this, right? Then you spotlight each individual person that already said yes. Then you're moving into, by the way, here comes the teaser,
comes the
and then the
trailer.
huge trailer, and then you launch.
Right. And I think we can also sort of like document rather than create concept where next time we have to have a all hands on deck meeting, we live stream it. There's content, there's buzz, there's interest, right? If there's a clip from here that like, okay, wow, that's funny or that works or whatever, we could even include that in like a what do you call, like a short or something. But in general, I think
Bravo, we could all yell at each other, pretend like we're yelling at each other, and we get really great ratings.
hey, we were getting close until you came on and calmed the place. No, I'm kidding.
No,
I'll
listen,
I'll
one
yell
other
at
thing-
Daniel. We'll get really great ratings on
Yeah.
Daniel.
Just on the
Right.
tagging, I was thinking, I know when as the network grows, it'll be impossible to tag everyone. But I think in the beginning, certainly, tagging is a good idea because, we may miss each other, and it's just a way to sort of remind people, share this.
Right, and for lack of a better
And
way,
also just
go ahead.
creating familiarity with the tags that we're going to use that identifies the network. So I think it's, in the beginning, certainly it's going to be, I think it's important to do that.
Yeah, so that like somebody tweets something out, if they tag 10 people, that should have 10 retweets. And now we've just 10x the amount of people who are likely to see it and learn about it, and then we're getting momentum that's more like what bigger media is getting instead of a solo creator.
And we had an additional offer, which I mentioned in the group DM, that Ms. Eileen offered to give us, if she's not sure if she's going to be able to swing it to her time wise to be a creator, creative partner, but she's offered at the very least to give us advisory information and advice. And one of the topics that she brought up that also is something we need to think about is if we want to have a criteria for sponsors, like if there's any people that we don't want to be representing us or our brand, if there's a no list, so to speak. I'm not sure exactly where the case is where you want to turn down sponsor money, but there may be some kind of conflict or issue, and that's something that we should think about. Maybe it's as simple as having a steering or a flagging committee that when a sponsor comes in, it runs through, everybody gives it the thumbs up, and then to make sure no one has an issue. I don't know.
I agree with that. Or a collaborative vote.
I agree with that as well. You do. I think it's important to have a list of the kind of sponsorships we don't want.
Yeah, I think we have guidelines, and then everything we just match up against the guidelines so that we're not weighing into people's personal biases against this company or that company or whatever. Like, we're open for business, and
well, I want to shout her out for bringing some things to light for us.
Yeah, and also, I think everybody knows the world we're living in the last, 8 years. Things have gotten a lot more Jerry Springer-esque, in DC where I'm near. And I think that it's really important in the moment we're in to not only be respectful and work with people, but it's also a good thing to know that we're not always going to agree at 100%. And we leave room for people being themselves. And I think that if we work that angle in that sense, I think you're going to find people naturally, when you have much more raw people doing things, you're going to find people who are outdoorsmen wanting to do the jeans company. And there's going to be other people, like with the bumper videos, maybe high fashion, and Michael Kors and things like that. So I think those things will kind of take care of themselves, but
I think they're all welcome unless they have some major, I don't know, they're affiliated with neo-Nazis, or they've, they just blew up the water in a certain town or something. Like there's certain examples that you go like, that's just so repugnant to that it'll hurt our audience, it'll hurt our brand, and we can't morally agree with it. But I think everybody's going to have a company that comes along that like, oh, that's not my favorite, or I don't like, we're open for business. I didn't like when I worked in radio, I wasn't going to the station manager and like, oh, I don't like this company. I can't work here. They'd be like, well, how else do you think we're going to pay you?
Have a nice day. Yeah.
We like no porn. Let's not do porn or anything that has to be like that. It's like,
I think everybody could adopt my motto.
Sue-Ann, hold on one second,
everyone,
please.
And I think we should market with love, create with passion, market with love. That's my 2 cents.
Sure, Joey, you were saying something. Joey started to say something here, and I couldn't hear him.
No, I was just saying. I think it's just in our value systems of everyone here. I don't know you all very well, but that it's not going to be like porn. We're not going to promote. I don't think it should be political. I think there's just certain arenas that need to stay outside.
I think so too.
Other arena, especially because, isn't it the unicorn that we want a big brand to buy the network, right? And they're going to look at they're going to look at all that kind of stuff, whether it's Amazon or it could be Disney, who knows, because they're all going to need content at some point, right?
I think I think as far as sponsors go, we need to start with the guidelines that YouTube has. They're very clear what you can't do. And so
that's a good idea. Really good idea.
If we don't do that, you know, and it's like even what Joey was saying. I mean, it's gambling, it's certain things that I can't remember in there, but
It's
but
vices, yeah.
yeah, that's what we need to look at first, because anything that approaches us that doesn't fit that list first, then I think goes to the second level. I'm going to propose something quick, because I'm going to have to go here in just a second. I got another hair appointment I got to run to. So I know I was saying I think we have already launched in the fact that we're doing a live stream, that it's out there. I mean, it's not like we kept this private. This is a Zoom call. Nobody knows it's out there. Anybody that finds now 100 TV network is going to see this, unless we're going to make it private, which I wouldn't. I mean, this is out there. I think this is what makes it exciting. You know, we don't have it figured out.
It's like making the band or whatever.
Yeah. But I think I do think there's a lot more, as we've sat here and talked, and Jeff has thrown out some things too. I think there's a lot more we still got to figure out. And so my proposal is going to be is that we don't try and do all of this on one live. I think from a production standpoint, how to upload, what to say, when it gets scheduled, and all this other, that's a whole different conversation than advertising, than website, than marketing. And I think that's the only way, honestly, that we can stay focused and get anything launched. So I'm one of these guys. I'd be fine launching tomorrow and figuring out. Not really. I'm just throwing that out there. But I do think taking 2 or 3 months to get it to a point, it's never going to be perfect, and we go with it, and we're going to keep building and building and building. Because Barb or somebody said in the comments, that was one of the best comments, that, for a long time, we're going to be launching. Because there's always going to be a new show coming on. There's going to be a creator dropping off, which has a whole ripple effect on sponsors. How are they even in our shows? If I'm shooting mine 2 months ahead of time and we sign a deal, there is no mechanism in place where we can insert, like some podcasts have, the networks where you can insert dynamically, I think it's called. We don't have that in place. And there's even some fine lines on, does that violate YouTube,
that's what I was
policies
wondering.
and things like that. So that's just what I'm going to throw out there, is that I think we bite off a little of this as we go, and we hit it with as much as we know we can, knowing we can grow. So I'm done.
Kevin, let me ask you, because I know you got to go real quick, if this is a fair question. In order for us to start producing our pre-recorded content, though, we need to know, what do we need to add as part of that? Because I don't want to record something and say, oh, well, you got to add this X, Y, and Z. So we need to kind of know those creative elements that got to be a part of our show so that we can all start recording our shows.
So before we spend a lot of time on websites and advertising packages and all that, we really got to make sure that the branding is tight, and we got to agree on all those elements in the content, like Jim's saying. What are we saying? How are we saying it? Even just the simple idea of saying the name of my show and then saying only on 100 TV or whatever. And if everybody says that, then it's oh, wow, I can only watch that show on 100 TV. We have to, things that, like Joey was saying, the market, you got to drill and drill and drill and hit and hit and hit and hit over again.
I mean, let's
get those items. I don't know. I think offline we'll figure out how we'll come together again and do that. But I think those things we get together, we can launch. But we don't want to launch in a sloppy way and not be coordinated in terms of how are we uploading, how are we distributing, how are we promoting, and not have some runway on that to make sure. So, I mean, I think it could be a month. I think it could be 2 months. I think it could be 3 months. But let's take a data process, and then we'll come up with a way to decide when that target date is.
Are we going to have playlists? Have we decided on playlists just to separate the
so every show will have its own playlist. So somebody enjoys watching your show, they want to watch more, they go to your show title playlist and they can binge on your shows. Then if there are 5 shows on fashion, we may have a fashion playlist and put all those shows into that. If there's 5 shows on tech or 10 shows on tech, they'll all be in a playlist perhaps together. Or we have some people bring on celebrity guests 3 times a year. We might have our most popular guests or most famous guests. Like, so we can do a lot, right? There's no limit with what you can do with playlists. But the basic is every show should have its own playlist. So, when I'm done watching Jim's show and there's not another show coming on, I go, well, I want to watch more Jim. I'm going to go and binge his shows. Otherwise, that it's just taking advantage of everything YouTube has to offer. We want to keep feeding people back into more network, more watch time, more, so that YouTube goes, yeah, this is good. This is where people are spending their time. People like this stuff.
From listening to what everybody had to say today, I really think it comes down to we have like 4 areas that we have to come up with our minimum viable product policy to get off the ground. I think it can be reduced to from what, and I'll outline this and send it out to everybody after today, and then whoever's in charge next time can take it from there. But I kind of feel like if we're trying to create action and not just talk, that some of the stuff has to be deadlined in some way, even if it's up to the first standard of minimal viable product. And like I said, listening to everybody and all the input and all the items that I still have that we've talked about or that we did or didn't get to, I think it comes down to if we can filter out to these are the minimum viable product areas. We need this, and this in place, and they're in 4 different areas, or I think 4 is what I've narrowed it to in my notes here. And then we can build out from there. That's just, I think, to give it a summation.
Well, I think what's minimal in some areas may not actually be as minimal as what's minimal. So we really want to get the branding right, let's say, before we go live for the first time, or we really want to know how we're going to be uploading.
Minimal in branding is maximum, right? I don't want, I guess I don't want to make that.
Right, but I'm just saying, I'm just saying, minimal doesn't necessarily mean sloppy or careless or whatever. It can be, what are our minimals? Just like when we were talking about when are people going to be ready? Let's figure out when that is. So I think we're in a pretty good place for first.
Yeah, Ross, I agree
meeting.
with you. I totally agree with you on the branding part of that, and I'm not even taking a claim on any of this. But I'm happy to help wherever I can. I've been doing design and stuff for a long time. I threw a couple ideas. Doesn't matter to me, but one thing I think we all recognize is that if it looks like another Roku channel that's home baked in Ohio or anywhere, it's going to be kind of perceived that way. And I think that to get it off the ground, it needs to have a stellar look, initially with every aspect of the network, and then creators can come under that, and it'll help it make everybody else better.
Welcome, Karen.
Well, and I also, hey, Karen, I also just think moving forward, no one has to, just moving forward, we all know it's a pedigree network. So no one has to back it up or caboose it anymore, right? We all know it's a pedigree network. We're all extremely professional on this network, right? So we know that it's only going to be the best, right? But coming up with the scripts, how that's going to look, the look, the overall feel, the heartbeat, the signal that's going to go out there. I think that that's a great first step. I do, because it just raises all boats that way.
And then once we sort of have people who are like, okay, I'm going to own this, you're going to own that, here's where we're going to work together, whatever. Then we just start putting some deadlines on things just because that's the only way things get done, right? So some of these things, it doesn't really matter whether we do it tomorrow or we do it 3 months from now. It's a day of hard work that'll get that thing done. Let's just figure out when people are available and put a deadline on some things and get those things done. And so the ideal with the branding and all these sort of the description and all these different things, we shouldn't have to do it again for a while. We can always improve, tweak, get better, but hopefully, once this starts going, we create our shows, we share our stuff, we promote, and we're open for business on the sponsor side, but we don't have to be reinventing the wheel and thinking through how we do this each week and this has to be different. Like let's get really excited about it and get it right the first time, or get it not right, but get it really good, and then we just tweak as time changes. We keep it updated, but we don't have to fall back on 6 months. We need to redesign the website, or we need to we need new thumbnails or what. Let's make it easy for everybody to fill in the templates and put the branding will be so good that you can just focus on the content, and that's the conversation and the content and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, Rose, I think
to do the blog for you guys.
I'd be happy to help.
Not a video girl.
The copy and stuff, if you guys want that.
Cool.
I mean, I'd be happy to help with the copy and kind of the structural component, the scripts, and how things can kind of go like that, right? Just because I've been on a learning curve. Everyone here I know is well aware that this is still in front of the 8 ball, but it won't be long until other people start catching on that having a standalone show is not going to work. It's not going to work like it used to. You're not going to get the numbers that you wanted anymore, right? Because the social media platforms have changed, right? Right. And the only way to do it is to leverage the influence, right? People play as a we component, right? But then the structural component of how it's done, what you're able to promote, why you're promoting it has to always go back to the network first, because there's just going to be bigger numbers that way. Playing on these other affiliate links and all these little things. I mean, God bless them. We're all doing it, right? Me included, right? We're all doing it. But where's the big play in the long run? Right? Amazon's always going to win.
So
the long-term bigger play is to put the effort in. If we all put the effort in here, then the possibility goes so far beyond what we would get with an affiliate link to this, or sending somebody over to look at that. If we can continue to feed the network will feed all of us.
Yes.
Ross, I would just say that I think the first month should be getting the network, its image, design, branding, its structure, its theory, philosophy, all of that nailed down where everybody can buy in. And while that's happening, as creators in the background, it's looking at what you're producing and really looking at it holistically, saying, okay, so maybe there are a couple places I can level up, or if you need help from other folks, we can work together to help each other in these areas to strengthen everybody. And then, that second month could be, okay, now we know who we are. We know what we look like. Let's get these trailers, crafted and created, and we start moving in that area. Now you're getting some things produced. Obviously it's completely up in the air for how we do it, but I agree. I think the network, the vibe there has to be first to me.
Yeah, I agree. All right. We got a moment of silence here. We're doing good. We're doing good. Sue Ann, anything else before we wrap up?
Well, I'm sure there's a lot, but I think that we, kind of got some good direction, because
Cool.
I know, Ross, you wanted to kind of get it moving. I kind of felt like you were trying to target.
I wanted to hear
something
what
that
everybody
will
wants to do.
kind of
I had
find out
different.
how we can find action to actually make it happen.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to hear what everybody wants to do. I had some different ideas about when we could launch, and I think this has been really constructive. I mean, we're getting the best of everybody's different experience, and that's this group is not going to be a regression to the mean where it's just we try and be average. So everybody here brings certain unique talent that the rest of us will level up by taking advantage of their expertise in that area. And so I might have had a preconceived notion of when we should launch, but I have a much better idea after listening to everybody, when we should launch. And I hope everybody else feels the same way, that okay, whatever I thought yesterday, I think better of it today after hearing everybody's experiences and all the different things that we can do that none of us alone would have thought of.
That's the power of collaboration.
Hi, Karen. It'd be cool too. I don't know if you guys know about Legion M yet. Anyways, I interviewed them. Very, very interesting. They're the first movie production company that's actually allows anyone in the marketplace to buy into them, and then they get paid out, right?
Wow.
And they're doing very well. They get all these big stars are doing their movies through them and stuff. But what's really interesting about them is that they open up their videos and stuff to feedback all the time. So I would suggest that with our live streams, that we open it up to the public and ask them and start showing them stuff and get them more interactive into the actual promotional pieces and talking to us and really feeling that there's an emotional connection out there, because I feel that we as live streamers are going to be the next reality real stars, right? And that's because we're not doing business behind closed doors anymore. I don't edit my stuff personally. That's just my thing, my network. We don't edit, right? There's certain things like that. So it's just something to think about. I'm not saying to do it, but maybe we open it up to the public and start getting their feedback.
I like it. I like it.
I think it'd be fun. It'd be so interesting to hear what they have to say.
I know.
They'd be like, show them something they like, that sucks.
But you know what? That's the market.
We're like, we like their trick.
But it's like that's the market. Then we can all come back. Like somebody doesn't like something I did, then I know to come back and do it differently. Or sometimes you just dismiss it. It's like one crank. But oftentimes, like that feedback is what gets you better. Hearing people say, "Oh, I don't like it when you do this," or
Yeah.
Totally
Ross,
agree.
for the future, before I forget, I don't know how everybody feels about it, but I personally would love to see us do these calls on Zoom, because there's a lot more capability for sharing screens and being able to talk, and things like that. And you can, within Zoom, you can still broadcast to Facebook Live into a group or a page or anything like that. So you can still do the same thing. And with Restream, you can do it to YouTube. But I think it would be more valuable as we start whiteboarding and all that kind of stuff.
Okay, I just thought using a production tool because of the because everything's in a little box now, and like I can't be recording 10 feeds locally or whatever, so that everybody gets a high quality right from their webcam. So I figured using something higher quality than Zoom would be, if I want to cut out Jeff saying that genius thing about the branding.
There's
or
nothing
whatever.
you're going to need from me today.
I got a little more room to play with on using what we're using instead of using Zoom. But yeah, we could do Zoom, definitely. Whatever everybody wants to do, I'm good with.
Cool.
Well, thanks, you guys.
Thank you.
So appreciate you all. It's so good
Cool.
seeing you guys.
So thanks everybody watching on YouTube. We appreciate you, and we hope that we'll be back to you shortly, and then not too long, with some more content and some more exciting behind the scenes developments of how we're coming together as a network. 100 TV. Please subscribe if you haven't done so. Take care, everybody.
Bye.
See you
Take
later.
care, everyone. Bye.